3 at 11. The news continues right now.
Welcome back to News Channel 3, live at 11. I'm Andy Dominiani.
And I'm Erica Moke. A Three Rivers church is facing scrutiny over allegations of inappropriate sexual conduct and stalking by a former church youth group leader. Because that church leader has not been charged with a crime, we're not naming him.
Yeah, the alleged victim, Linda Shank, went public with this decade-old allegations in April. Police reports show it was actually Shank, only 15 at the time, and not church leaders who went to authorities. With the allegations now public, the church admits it could have handled the situation better.
News Channel 3 investigative reporter Mike Kravsik sat down with Shank, who says she feels the church did little to protect her, even as the behavior continued.
Cycle of depression and anxiety.
It's grooming, which I didn't even realize until years later.
It's taken more than a decade, but Linda Shank is starting to break that cycle.
I feel like being able to finally get my story out has brought so much healing and so much freedom.
Now 26 years old, she's coming forward. She says a former Riverside church volunteer started sexually abusing her in 2011. She was 15 at the time. He was 44. Both were youth ministry volunteers.
I didn't have a father in my life, so that kind of just made it worse. Like he would say he was going to be like my spiritual father.
In court records, Shank alleges it lasted for about a year.
There was a time where he told me that he was in love with me.
She says the volunteer group often met at the man's home.
Started off slow with him trying to hold my hand and things like that, and then it just progressively got worse and worse.
Court documents show Shank first told her youth pastor in March 2012 after she says the man groped her one night in her bedroom.
I went upstairs to get something and he followed me up. And that was when he sort of grabbed me into a hug, but he was like pushing his pelvis against me, started to kiss my neck and stuff, and was groping me.
Following the incident, the church removed the volunteer from the youth ministry. Shank's former youth pastor wrote in a recent open letter that he reported the abuse to Riverside senior pastor Paul Bucco.
How many of you know that everything that you hear and read is not necessarily the truth? You understand that, right?
Bucco has made reference to Shank's allegations in this recent sermon after she went public.
Hey, if you have any questions, about anything that's going on, please come and talk to me.
Bucco issued a series of statements on behalf of Riverside, denying any cover-up and saying that the church took necessary actions it thought were appropriate at the time, including getting both involved in counseling. Shank says the church promised the volunteer would never contact her again.
No, he didn't. He never stayed away.
According to court and police reports filed in 2012, Shank alleges the man continued to send the 16-year-old sexually related texts, even after she changed her number. According to a Three Rivers police report, the volunteer tells a detective he's an adult in the situation and should have known better, adding the situation wasn't going to go further.
Just wanted a chance to ask you a few questions.
Bucco declined multiple requests to talk to us, including when we showed up at his church.
Do you believe Linda and what happened to her?
Well, like I said, I no comment at this, point.
He doesn't want them to come talk to them. He doesn't want anybody to.
Shank says she was left alone until she got a call out of the blue. She was home on Christmas break in 2015. She was 19 at the time.
He had called me and he was like, we should try to meet up somewhere. And he was like, I can assure you I'm not going to try to do anything to you. I just want to talk to you. So I agreed to meet with him.
According to a St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office report, Shank says the man sexually assaulted her in his car.
He attacked me. He was on top of me. And from that point until it was over, I just sort of laid there frozen.
The volunteer told detectives it was consensual. He was never charged. The now former St. Joseph County prosecutor John McDonough wrote Shank was put in a horrible situation in his review of the case. McDonough noted there wasn't enough evidence to prove the contact was not consensual. Following the incident, a judge granted Shank a second PPO against the man.
I feel like if the church had done more, actually tried to report it, actually made him leave or something, some kind of punishment, he wouldn't have continued to try to pursue me for 5 years later.
The man continued to volunteer at Riverside following both abuse allegations. According to this Riverside Facebook post in 2017, the church praises him for his volunteer work in the church's tech booth.
That just blew my mind. Like, that's just crazy.
The current St. Joseph County prosecutor, David Marvin, tells me he has no plans to pursue criminal charges, saying he agreed with his predecessor's 2016 decision not to charge based on a lack of evidence. We reached out to the volunteer. He declined to talk to us through his attorney. For the News Channel 3i team, I'm Mike Cravesink.
A Riverside Church did send News Channel 3 a follow-up statement today. It says, quote, "We did the best we could to help Linda with the information and resources available to us at the time."